Our next topic, we move now to the hardwood. The NBA season begins tonight, and the Cleveland Cavaliers will begin their quest to defend their title. However, it won't be easy. The Golden State Warriors add a guy you might have heard of named Kevin Durant to their arsenal of talent. Yet the Oklahoma City Thunder still has plenty of talent on their roster, most notably Russell Westbrook. In the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks added Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. The Chicago Bulls added Dwayne Wade, and Al Horford joined a solid core of young talent with the Boston Celtics. Toronto, the LA Clippers, and Atlanta are also teams to remember for this year. The question is, and we'll discuss Cleveland and Golden State in just a sec, but we'll start with who are your top teams to watch this season? So we'll start with Brian on this one.
Top team to watch this season, the Boston Celtics. They're young, they're talented, and they're hungry to win. You know, out west, yeah, it's going to be a Warriors against everybody else. You know, no team really stacks up well against the talent they have. And we've seen that already in the preseason that, you know, it's not just the four superstars in their starting lineup playing their individual games. It's the superstars learning how to play well with each other. But you look back in the East, and it's going to be a little bit more competitive than it has in the past years. You look at teams like the Pacers and the Knicks, all have great off seasons, all added great talent to their lineups. And then you look at the Celtics. They're an already great team last season, and then they added a big man in Al Horford who's going to help to fill pretty much every hole they have in their offense and then add to an already great defense. So if you're asking me, I'm saying that in the East this year, we're going to see Cleveland get dethroned. Winning the NBA Finals, not this year. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. But, you know, I think out East, we're going to have a lot more competitiveness this season.
That, my friends, is a hot take. Joe, let's go to you.
I think one team to watch, they could kind of be a spoilers team, is the Portland Trail Blazers. They beat Golden State last year in the regular season, and honestly, their roster hasn't changed too much. I think they can do it again. On the other side of that, I think that another team that could dethrone Cleveland is the Toronto Raptors. They made the playoffs as well. They gave their shot in the playoffs. I believe that set was 4-2. Cleveland won. But I think, you know, maybe this year, I don't think their rosters changed too much either. I think they have another shot as well. They
still have their top guys, and the Celtics, they're on the rise, but I'm going to throw a wild card out here. I'm going to go with the New York Knicks. They added Derrick Rose, they added Joakim Noah, a little bit up in the age department, but they still have plenty of experience in order to play NBA basketball. So I think the Knicks will get a lower seed in the Eastern Conference, but we shouldn't shy away from them because it's New York Knicks basketball, so they could make a run like they did a couple of years ago. And then the West, a lot of people are calling them out, but I think the Oklahoma City Thunder still have a shot. Even without Kevin Durant, they still have Victor Oladipo. They acquired him from the Magic, who's one of the best young guards in the league, and they still have Russell Westbrook, one of the top 5 players in the league. And they still have Enes Kanter, one of the best trades that they could get last season, and Steven Adams in the paint, and Billy Donovan. It was only his first season, but to take a team to the Western Conference Finals, that's just great. And I know that some teams or some fans, they want to talk about the Spurs, but with Tim Duncan retiring, I mean, do they have a shot to even make the playoffs this year?
Well, with the Spurs, you know, they lost Duncan, but they still have some of their core players in Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker. And then they added a guy like Pau Gasol, who's pretty much going to take over for where Duncan left off, but just not in the same respect. So Spurs, I say definitely make the playoffs this year. You know, the past few seasons, they've had 50, 60-plus win seasons. I'm not sure that will necessarily happen this year, but, you know, just because Tim Duncan's gone doesn't mean you should totally count the Spurs out yet.
I could see the Spurs doing it as well. I also agree with you about the Thunder. You know, they still have got quite the talent on their team. The other team that I could also see making the playoffs is the Clippers. You know, they made it they got home field advantage. They were the 4th seed last year. That's another team. But I definitely agree. I think if of all the teams in the West, the one that has the most likelihood of taking down Golden State in the playoffs would be the Thunder.
Really quickly, we got looking at Cleveland and Golden State. Do you think we're going to see a rematch? Because you're saying no. because you're riding on the Celtics. And, well, Joe, what do you think? Is it going to be a rematch, or is it going to be two different teams?
It's highly plausible. It's too early to say for me.
Too early? Or?
I wouldn't call it too early for me. But you look at Cleveland, they're about an injury or two away from being even with all the other teams in the East. So it'll be interesting this season, to say the least.
I mean, hopefully either way, hopefully the NBA Finals goes to 7 games. So we'll have to wait and see.